Let's practice solving equations by combining like terms first together. Basically, what we're going to do first for each of these is we're going to combine any like terms that we see. Second, we are going to then use a property of equality. There's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We're going to do that to both sides of the equation. And then finally, we're going to use an identity property. Finally, we're just going to go ahead and check our solutions mentally. So we're not going to have to write out that work, but we're going to substitute and talk it out loud to make sure our answers make sense. If you weren't aware already, you can go ahead and download a free copy of this PDF by looking at the description box below, where you can also find an annotated answer key for what I'm writing here in this video, and hopefully you can find that helpful along with other resources. Let's jump right into it. In number 1, we have the equation 3x is equal to 8 plus 16. If we look at the right side of the equation, we have this 8 and 16, which are both constant terms, which means they are like terms. They can be combined. So we can go ahead and rewrite this equation as 3x is equal to, and combine the 8 and 16 on the right side. 8 plus 16 is equal to 24. Once we've combined them, we now have a one-step equation. To solve this, we're going to go ahead and just use the division property of equality and divide both sides by 3 here. Dividing both sides by 3, on the left side, we have 3 divided by 3, which is just going to be 1. So we're going to have this 1x on the left side of the equation. So we're just going to write 1 times x, or 1x. And on the right side of the equation, 24 divided by 3 is going to be 8. And so we can get rid of that 1 by the identity property and say that x is equal to 8. Checking this mentally, if we take 3 and multiply by the 8 that we got, that's 24, and 24 is equal to 8 plus 16. So that does check out. All right, let's check out number 2. For number 2, we have y plus this 9 plus 4 is equal to 21. We can see on the left side of the equation, we do have like terms of a positive 9 and a positive 4. We can combine those like terms. 9 plus 4 is 13. So we're going to write a one-step equation of y plus 13 is equal to 21. So we have a one-step equation here that has addition. To go ahead and solve this, we're going to use our subtraction property of equality and subtract 13 from both sides of the equation. Using the subtraction property of equality here, we have y plus 0 on the left side of the equation because negative 13 plus 13 is 0. And on the right side, 21 minus 13 is equal to 8. Finally, using the identity property, we can drop that 0. We can just say that y is equal to 8. Checking this, if you substitute that 8 back into the left side of the equation, 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 plus 4 is equal to 21, so y does equal 8. For number 3, we have this equation of x minus 3 plus 8 is equal to 18. Keep in mind that this minus 3 is really a negative 3. If you want to add the opposite, you can see that it's a negative 3. And this is a positive 8. These constant terms are also like terms. So negative 3 plus 8 is going to be 5. So they can be combined. So we have x plus 5, because it's a positive 5, it is equal to 18. So we just combined our constants on the left side of the equation. We now have a one-step equation that has addition. So to solve this equation, we're going to use the subtraction property of equality and subtract 5 from both sides. Similar to our last example, we're going to have an x here and then that positive 5. Take away that 5, that's going to be combining to make 0. So we're going to have x plus 0 on the left side of the equation, and on the right side, 18 minus 5 is equal to 13. And then using the identity property of addition, we can drop that 0 and say that x is equal to 13. Checking this in our heads, if we substitute 13 back in for x in the original equation, 13 minus 3 is equal to 10, and 10 plus 8 is equal to 18, so 18 does equal 18, so this checks out. For number 4, we have negative 4 plus 9 is equal to y minus 17. So on the left side of the equation, we have a negative 4 and a positive 9. These are both constant terms, which can be combined because they're like terms. Negative 4 plus 9 is the same thing as 9 minus 4, which is going to be 5. So on the left side of the equation, we have 5. And on the right side, we still have this y minus 17. So after combining like terms, we have a one-step equation. To get rid of this minus 17, what we're going to do is we are going to add 17 on the right side. Let's go ahead and do that on the left side as well. So we're using the addition property of equality. On the left side of the equation, 5 plus 17 is equal to 22. And on the right side of the equation, we have this y, but then this negative 17 plus 17 is equal to 0. Now using the identity property of addition, we can drop that 0. I'm also going to turn this around here and say that y is equal to 22. If we were to substitute this 22 back into the original equation for y, then 22 minus 17 on the right side is going to be 5. And on the left side, that negative 4 plus 9 we said was equal to 5. So since 5 equals 5, then y must equal 22. Here's number 5. For number 5, we have this equation of 36 is equal to 5x plus 4x. The left side can't be simplified at all, it's just 36, but on the right side we have 5x plus 4x, and these are like terms, right? So we can go ahead and combine them and add their coefficients together. So we have 36 is equal to, and 5x plus 4x, that's going to be a total of 9x. So after combining like terms, we do have a one-step equation. We have 9 times something is equal to 36, so we're going to go ahead and use the division property of equality and divide both sides by 9. By doing that, on the left side, 36 divided by 9 is going to equal 4, and on the right side, we can see here that 9 divided by 9 is just going to equal 1 over 1, so we can just say that we have 1x on the right side of the equation. By the identity property of multiplication, we can drop that 1, and we can also turn this around and say that x equals 4, or you can write 4 equals x, either one is okay. Checking our solution, if we substitute in 4 for x on the right side, 5 times 4 is 20, 4 times 4 is 16, so 20 plus 16 does equal 36. For number 6, we have the equation negative 24 plus 18 is equal to negative 2y. On the left side of the equation, we have these two constants of negative 24 and a positive 18. If we add negative 24 and positive 18 together, we're going to get negative 6. So we just went ahead and combined those like terms for our expression on the left. That's going to equal this negative 2y that's on the right side of the equation. Now we have negative 2 times something is equal to negative 6, so we're going to go ahead and use the division property of equality and divide both sides by negative 2. On the left side of the equation, negative 6 divided by negative 2, that's going to equal positive 3. A negative divided by negative is a positive. And on the right side of the equation, negative 2 over negative 2, remember anything over itself is just equal to 1. So we're going to be left with 1y on the right side of the equation. By the identity property of multiplication, we can drop that 1 and say that y is equal to 3. I'm also turning it around here so that our variable's on the left. If we substituted 3 back into the original equation, on the right side, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and the left side, negative 24 plus 18 is also negative 6, so this does check out. Here's number 7. For number 7, we have x divided by 4 is equal to negative 15 plus 12. There are no like terms on the left side to be combined, but on the right side we do have two constant terms. We have a negative 15 and a positive 12. Combining those, we would get negative 3. So we're going to have a one-step equation here of x over 4, or x divided by 4, is equal to negative 3. Now, since we see division in our problem here, we're going to go ahead and use the inverse operation. We're going to go ahead and use the multiplication property of equality and multiply both sides by 4. Okay. On the left side of the equation, you can see here that the 4's will cross cancel and become 1's. So we're just going to have 1x, or 1 times x, on the left side of the equation. And on the right side, we have negative 3 times 4, which is going to equal negative 12. By the identity property of multiplication, we can drop that 1 and say that x is equal to negative 12. Checking this, if we substitute that negative 12 back into the original equation for x, negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3, which matches the right side, which negative 15 plus 12 does equal negative 3. For number 8, we have negative 18 is equal to y minus 4y. On the left side, we have no like terms to be combined, but on the right side, keep in mind that we do have this 1y take away a 4y, so just writing that coefficient of 1 there. And so we have 1y take away 4y, so 1 minus 4 is going to be negative 3, right, if you go ahead and combine their coefficients. So we have negative 18 is equal to negative 3y. So after combining like terms on the right side, we have a one-step equation. Because we have negative 3 times y on the right side, we're going to go ahead and use the division property of equality and divide by the coefficient of negative 3. On the left side of the equation, negative 18 divided by negative 3 is going to equal a positive 6. And on the right side of the equation, this negative 3 divided by negative 3 is just going to equal 1. So we're going to have a coefficient of 1, and I'm going to multiply that by y. Now, by the identity property of multiplication, we can drop that 1 and just say that 1y is equal to y. And turning this around, we're going to write y is equal to 6. Checking this by substituting that 6 into the right side of the original equation, we have y, which is 6, minus 4 times y, or 4 times 6, that's 24, and 6 minus 24 equals negative 18. Okay, moving on to number 9. For number 9, we have negative 13 minus 19 is equal to 8x. So the like terms here are on the left side of the equation. Again, you can think about this as negative 13 plus negative 19 if you add the opposite. And so this is a negative 13 combined with a negative 19 technically. and negative 13 plus negative 19 is going to be negative 32 if you combine those like terms. If you need to write that out, feel free to do so. On the right side of the equation, we still have 8x. We didn't do anything with that. Now, since our operation that we see is multiplication because it's 8 times x, we're going to go ahead and use the division property of equality and divide both sides by 8. On the left side, negative 32 divided by 8 is going to equal negative 4. And on the right side of the equation, that 8 over 8 is going to cancel out to just become one whole. So our coefficient here is going to be 1. So we have 1x is equal to negative 4. And by the identity property of multiplication, we can drop that 1 and then turn this around and say that x is equal to negative 4. Checking this real quick, if we plug in negative 4 back to the original equation, on the right side, 8 times negative 4 is negative 32, and negative 13 minus 19 is negative 32. So this does check out. For number 10, we have negative 19 plus 15 is equal to y divided by negative 4. So on the left side, we have two constant terms. We have negative 19 and a positive 15. Combining those, we're going to end up with a negative 4. So we have negative 4 is equal to, and then we have y divided by a negative 4 on the right side. Now the operation we see here is division, so we're going to use multiplication. And so on the right side, let's multiply by negative 4, and on the left side, let's multiply by negative 4. So we have negative 4 on the left side multiplying by negative 4. That's going to equal a positive 16. If that's a little confusing, maybe I can go ahead and add in another set of parentheses here so it's a little bit more clear. That's negative 4 times negative 4. And on the right side of the equation, notice that these negative 4s are going to cross cancel with each other and become 1. So we're just going to have 1y. And then by the identity property of multiplication, drop that 1 so we can say that y is equal to 16. Checking this by substituting 16 into y on the right side of the original equation, 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4, and on the left side, negative 19 plus 15 is equal to negative 4. So this hopefully makes sense and checks out. We have just a couple problems left here. So for number 11, we have negative 54 is equal to negative 7x take away 2x. Okay, there are no like terms on the left side, but on the right side, we have negative 7x. This is minus 2x, but you can think about it as plus another negative 2x, so it's a negative plus a negative. So negative 7 and negative 2 make negative 9. So we can combine those like terms on the right side and say negative 54 is equal to negative 9x. So negative 9 times something is equal to negative 54. Now the inverse or the opposite of multiplying is dividing, so let's go ahead and divide both sides of the equation using the division property of equality, divide by negative 9. On the left side, negative 54 divided by negative 9 is equal to positive 6. And on the right side, we can see this negative 9 over negative 9 just cancels out to be one whole. So we have a coefficient of 1, so we have 1x. And then we can drop that 1 and turn this around and say that x is equal to positive 6. Checking our solution, if we plug in 6 to the original equation on the right side, negative 7 times 6 is negative 42, and negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. And we have negative 42 plus negative 12 is going to be negative 54. So this does check out. Finally, for number 12, we have negative 8 minus 15 is equal to y minus 13. On the left side of the equation here, we have this negative 8 and we're taking away 15. So that's basically the same thing as adding another negative 15. So it's a negative plus a negative. So that's going to be negative 23 on the left side. And that's equal to y minus 13 on the right side. So now after combining like terms, we have a one-step equation. So since we see subtraction as our operation, we're going to use addition property of equality here and add 13 to both sides of the equation. On the left side, adding 13 to negative 23 is going to be negative 10. And on the right side, we're going to have this y, but a negative 13 plus 13, that should equal 0 since opposites add to get 0. Using the identity property of addition, we can drop that plus 0 and turn this around and say y is equal to negative 10. Checking our solution, we can plug in negative 10 into the original equation on the right side. Negative 10 take away 13 is negative 23, which makes sense because negative 8 take away 15 is also negative 23. So this hopefully makes sense. So that just about wraps up this video. You can see we had 12 different practice problems. In each of these, you had to look for some like terms first to combine. Once you combine the like terms, whether it was on the left or the right side, you got a one-step equation. Once you use a property of equality, you either got 1 or 0, depending if you were multiplying and dividing or adding or subtracting. And then finally, you could use an identity property. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. And as always, keep up the great work that you're already doing, and I'll see you in the next one.